Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Imani Ma'at, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Progressively Yours Health and Wellness Podcast.
Jay Bernard Kynes, and I join in with my partner, my fiance, as we welcome you to another broadcast of Progressively Yours Health and Wellness Podcast. And we are honored that you've joined us for another wonderful show. We have another special guest that will be educational, inspirational, because we are about health and wellness. So, as is part of our ritual, tradition, whatever word works, we always begin our podcast with the spiritual opening. It's not religious in the context of religious theology per se, but it is spiritually attuned so that we connect with the ancestors who I will invite to be with us in our broadcast. So, first, what I want to do again tonight is share a short reading with you, but this time, rather than Howard Thurman, I want to introduce you to a well-known poet, one of my favorites. His name is Rainer Maria Rilke. Rilke, one of his most famous texts is entitled Letters to a Young Poet. And I want to read as part of our meditation tonight from letter 3, a very short statement for our meditation and spiritual opening tonight. But first, I want you to join in with me. We center on our breath and our breathing, because our breathing is key to bringing us into balance in spirit, in our hearts and minds. So when you hear the ting shaws, I will clash the ting shaws 3 times. I want to invite you to close your eyes. If you're able to, get comfortable in your sitting position and take in 3 breaths in and out through the nose, deep and full, and scan your body feelings and sensations from within. Pay homage to the ancestors as we welcome them to guide the direction of our podcast tonight, our conversations, that we open our hearts to learn, to grow, to experience new anticipations for life and for meaning of life, our lives individually and collectively. May they protect the 4 corners of the space that we're all gathered in, so that we might hear with our hearts. And these words from Rilke to bless us. He writes to the young poet, "You are so young, so much before all beginnings. I would like to beg you, dear sir, as well as I can, to have patience with everything unresolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves as if they were locked rooms or books written in a very foreign language. Don't search for the answers, which could not be given to you now, because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps then, someday far in the future, you will gradually, without even noticing it, live your way into the answer. Perhaps you do carry within you the possibility of creating and forming, and as especially blessed pure way of living. Train yourself for that, but take whatever comes with great trust, as long as it comes out of your will, out of some need of your innermost self. Then take it upon yourself and don't hate anything. Letter 3, Pisa, Italy, April 23rd, 1903. Ashe
Shay.
and well.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for those words of wisdom. No wonder you're so wise. You've learned from those who have captured their thoughts and words on paper, and it's timeless. You know, those words are as important now as they were back in, would you say, 1903? I mean, that's quite a while ago. So
Yeah.
certain lessons about life are timeless and ageless. So thank you for sharing that. Um, I
You're
would
welcome.
like to, thanks. So I'd also like to share, I like to share affirmations. And last week we had a dear friend who I was reconnected with, Amakiasu, who wrote a book called Buried Treasure, Unearth Your Golden Soul. And Bernard and I had an opportunity to go to her book signing on Sunday. And book is filled with affirmations and stories and lessons about lost love and healing from that. So I want to share the two of the affirmations that she has in here that she wrote about. One is that she wrote in her own words. She also quotes a lot of the masters and people that have influenced her. Many of them I recognized and vibrated with as well. Lawrence Scovel Shinn, Neville Goddard, so many of the greats. I don't want to start naming names, I'll forget. But here's one that she wrote. Each of us has a song to sing, a vibration to express. So let her rip. Be who you are. By doing so and being yourself in full expression, you will bless all with whom you come in contact, and then some. So I really like that one. That's do you. So many of us are. There's so much pressure to conform in this society, and conforming hasn't gotten a lot of us anywhere. So it's so much better to be your authentic self, which is what that's about. Another one is this is by Neville Goddard, actually. Imagination is the beginning of the growth of all forms, and faith is the substance out of which form comes. There's some biblical, reference there as well. But I love Neville Goddard because he talks about creating life with our wonderful imagination. And I think life is so much better. It doesn't get stale when you use your imagination to create who you are, where you want to be, where you want to go, without boundaries, without limits. So I just wanted to share those words with you. And I also want to encourage you. I have Bernard and I, but I have a number of products and services all in the health and wellness area. And I also do personal consultations, wellness consultations, rather than just, pick and choose different products and services each week. It really would be best for people to take advantage of a free wellness consultation that I offer, 30 minutes or so. They usually go over, but during those 30 minutes, I let you know about, I get a sense of who you are and whether or not we're a good fit for each other. And I share with you some of the strategies, techniques, and services and products that I have to share with you. One of them that I absolutely love is the AO scan, which uses vibrational tones to help improve your health. As we speak, we there are tones that are in our voice, and this device actually looks for the missing tones and helps to provide you with what you need to get more of a balance. There's a lot more to it, but when you do one program called the Inner Voice, it actually basically you speak for like 9 or 10 minutes, and it takes that and some other demographic information, and it gives you tones that you need to be balanced emotionally. And we know that a lot of health issues have their roots in emotional instability or imbalance. So it's a great way to get balance. It gives you like a 9-page report, 4 tone pages where you can actually listen to tones. Each one is 4 minutes long. There's three minutes long. There's 4 tones, and then there's 5 pages that describe those tones and where you may be, slightly off balance, and other tones help you get in balance. So that's just one of the tools or toys that I use to share. But I know that one of my colleagues said that when you go through listening to these tones, and you actually, as a result of the consultation, you listen to these tones for like morning and evening for 2 weeks, that's equivalent to like 20 years of psychotherapy. So it really, really, really goes deep, and they're very pleasant tones. So, and then there are other things. There's a tone for almost every dis-ease and imbalance you can think of, where you can just hit, something for tranquility and for peace, or for um, COVID, or for, whatever it is you're manifesting. There are there are tones that help to put your body back in balance and help you to support natural healing. So I encourage you. I have lots of specials for the month of December and for January. So I encourage you to go to, there it is on the board, heal.me/Dr. Imani, all in lowercase. I find that when people start putting capital letters in there, it messes up. So that's it for my intro, and we're so excited about our guests. We need to move forward. We'll have Bernard. Since you've known Dr. Pam a lot longer than I have, I would be honored to have you introduce her.
As I am honored to introduce her. Thank you, and thank you for sharing with our audience. Could you hold that pad up once again, and let them see the pad once again? Show it again.
AO scan? Oh, okay.
AO scan,
It comes. Actually, now it's showing the tones. But it comes in both a pad and a phone. So if people don't want this big bulky thing, they can also get the same tools on a phone size device. But I love this AO scan.
I'll get the phone in a few minutes so they can see the phone as well, and okay, because the phone you can easily take around with you. So thank you for that, because those frequencies that coordinate with the brain frequencies of the musical elements, they do work. If you listen to them, I like to at times let them put me to sleep, and
Oh
just
yeah.
listen to it. And it's just extremely soothing, as well as nurturing to the brain and the brain cells and neurons. Well, without further ado, I'm honored to introduce and for true transparency, our chiropractor. And as Imani indicated, I've known her just a tad longer. And so Dr. Pam is not only a guest and a chiropractor, but has become indeed a wonderful friend and is very caring. Before I read what she has for me to share from the bio, uh, we kid her because she has this, and she can tell you the proper name of it. This little puncher, and she gets you to laying on the table, pop 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 pop. Hold your head down, hold it down now to the left, and are you listening to me? And she is focused, and I just love seeing her at least twice a week. And she when I leave, I'm feeling better. So she's part of my healthcare team, and I'm honored that she's going to be with us tonight. So Dr. Pam says I began my healthcare career in nursing and found my way into chiropractic. Since I've been in practice, I've had the privilege of taking care of athletes, families, kids, all kinds of injuries, illnesses, and problems. At Progressive Medical Center, we successfully care for complex patients, and many times we are the last stop. We understand you. We have the knowledge, the equipment, and cutting edge therapies at our fingertips, all for you. And I can testify to that before she comes on because I've been going to Progressive Medical Center since 2015. And I'll share a little bit more with doing a broadcast about some of the things that traditional medicine didn't find in my health that turned my health completely around. So, without further ado, we want Dr. Pam to come on in and share with us and the listening audience um, about all that she provides for us and many other people. She has two of her just beloved patients right here.
You right here.
Can't get away from us, can you?
I know.
Well,
Well, the honor is all mine. You guys are so special to me. And I will tell you, like I tell all new patients, people that come and find their way into my department, into my physical medicine and regenerative department, you become my family. And I have to have that perspective to treat everybody as if they were my family. That way it keeps my head straight and keeps me focused where it needs to be.
May I ask you? Oh,
Please
I
ask away.
have a burning question because, in a sense, some of your background sounds similar to mine in that I worked at CDC for many years, 22 years, and while I was there, I was gradually getting more and more into natural and alternative approaches to health and wellness. So, as you were nursing, very very much into the allopathic
Yeah,
medicine, that track. At
I
what
do.
point and how did it hit you that, okay, I
Wow.
want to do something different to really heal people? So tell us a little bit about
Okay.
that.
Y'all are just go ahead and laugh out loud. This is kind of a funny story. I started out at Grady in coronary care. So it was very intense and very life or death all the time. And you get kind of flat after 3 or 4 years of not responding to your friends or to something happy. You just go, wow, that's great. So I went into the private sector from Grady and I worked for Crawford and Company. Doing nurse consulting for them. They were a company that wanted to capture the health side of insurance companies and self-insureds to help represent them in the getting people back to work, get employees back to work sector. So they hired, they started out with hiring 7 nurses. I was one of the first ones. We wrote our own job description, and I dealt with some of the people that they represented. And so my territory was North Georgia, Eastern Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina, that whole little bubble up in there, which is production, it's carpet, it's chicken, everything, chicken processing. I did a lot of work with Gold Kist, and through that process, I learned what happens to a chicken from live haul to in our package in the store. Truly, but all these people doing repetitive injuries, repetitive things for their work had injuries. A lot of them with their wrists, their neck. They had slip and falls in carpet factories or in chicken processing facilities. And it was my job to go in and be liaison between insurance company and self-insured and getting people back to work. And I saw a lot of back injuries, a lot more than I'd ever seen in my previous career. So I developed a program for Crawford and Company called Back on the Job. Hence back injury. I know, right? So I created a series of injuries that I saw that were commonplace, or threads of patterns of injuries. I made suggestions for the work environment on how to predict and circumvent these injuries. I gave instruction in this program to managerial department heads on how to reduce their overhead for work comp and time lost. And then I created a return to work program for the people who had either carpal tunnel injuries from, cutting things off of chickens at 90 chickens a minute, or people in the carpet industry that did this all the time. So I created this Back on the Job program. And through that, I saw people that were either at home trying to be recovering from a back injury and going to traditional medicine, and they had one pattern of recovery. And then there was the people who went to chiropractors, which I was 100% certain were some sort of voodoo backdoor dead chicken. And yeah. I had no idea what they did, but I was really certain it was not okay. But those people got better quicker, faster. So I became curious. And so I started talking to a dear friend of mine who is this African-American chiropractor in South Atlanta, just the kindest, most successful man in chiropractic I've ever met. And he encouraged me to go to school and be a chiropractor. And I kind of let that simmer with me for a while. And I don't know, somewhere between Christmas and New Year's 100 years ago, I kind of woke up in the middle of the night and I felt like God was leading me to make the shift. And when you wake up like that, and for me, when God's talking to me, you got to listen. So I sold my practice a month later, and I applied for chiropractic school in that order. No backup plan. So I know, right?
No plan B.
I figured if he put it on me, he's going to get me through it.
You were walking by faith indeed, right?
I'm telling you, it was a word. I mean, it was something like I'd never experienced before. So I loved it. I ate it up. I was enthralled and always curious about how a chiropractic adjustment could help people get well. I thought it was strictly about return to motion. If you got a crick in your neck or if you got a low back pain, you fix that. But beyond that, I had no idea what chiropractic care was really all about. So that's in a lot more than 25 words or less, but that was my journey on how to get here.
That's a great story, Dr. Pam. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I'm always curious when people make major job and life shifts. and yeah, I mean, it's definitely a leap of faith, and that's, congratulations for taking that leap.
Thanks. Thanks.
So important.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I just give my personal testimony and now to you publicly, Dr. Pam,
Okay.
in terms of what I've noticed in my own body since you have been adjusting me, as you've kind of uh, been on me about sometimes the number of yards I swim in the mornings, and I come in and I'm complaining about the sensation that I feel in my fingertip, uh, and you worked on me to the point now where I don't have that sensation any longer. So I'm just saying so I thank you publicly, but I'm sharing that with the listening audience who may not have had chiropractic experience. Can you say a little bit more, like for example,
Oh,
when you're
absolutely.
adjusting,
Okay.
what is actually happening when you're moving our feet and you're looking at our back, and I don't have the sensation anymore because you recognize the area. What's going on with, and what you call this device that you're punching us with?
Okay. Let me see. There was like 75 questions in that last statement. So, okay. So there's lots of techniques for chiropractic care. All of them are good. I've chosen, um, I've chosen an activator. I wish you'd known it. I would have gotten mine out of the car, but it's a handheld instrument that's spring loaded, and I can dial in the amount of force based on patient size, joint. Like I wouldn't use the same amount of pressure here in your hand. If you fell on your hand and injured your hand, I would correct that with a certain amount of force, or a baby or a small child would use a totally different approach and adjustment technique. But I would still use the activator. And then if I had one of my athletes, my defensive tackles come in, it would be a whole different ball game. No pun intended. So let's go back to chiropractic 101. And I'm going to talk to you as if you've heard nothing. So for those of you who are listening, who are keenly aware what chiropractors do, please bear with me for this repetition, but I want to make sure we're all on the same page. So when you come into our clinic and I do history and evaluation, I also do a physical exam, and I find out where the gaps are in your motion and in your structure and in how your joints and your body moves, because it's through this structure, this wonderfully made skeleton of ours, that our nervous system, our most precious thing, is housed. And our nervous system is the brain, the spinal cord, and then the nerves that exit in between each of the bones in pairs, all the way down from the hair to the chair, and even through holes in the sacrum, that's in the small of your back, a triangle shaped bone, even through holes in the sacrum that were designed for those nerves to exit and go down the legs into the feet. So if our nervous system tells us everything we are or are about, it gives us goosebumps, our happiness factor, our ability to be in a very still, quiet, dark room, but yet feel movement, or a dog walking through the doorway coming in for, to crawl in their bed at night, or sadness, joy, food digestion, heartbeat, sweat, all of those things are nervous system controlled. So given that, anatomically, we're supposed to be straight in this direction from the hair to the chair. That gives us sturdiness, structure, support. From the side, however, we're supposed to be curved. That gives us bendability, flexibility, mobility. If at any point from birth to at the moment when I'm taking a look at you and making an evaluation, that you have a change in that structure, whether it's through repetitive injury at work, sports, a car accident. I fell off the side of a slide when I was little. This 200-pound kid jumped on top of me, and things changed after that. Or ballet, or anything, any surgery, any kind of change. If you change any of this alignment, and you take this structure that's supposed to be straight and sturdy this way and you alter it somehow, any of that alteration, because of how we're made with close geography, will pull that bone out of alignment and put pressure on a pair of nerves that exits right there where that bone's out of alignment. It's the hardest tissue in the body, our bones are. The nervous system is our softest tissue. And we know from this year, I've been doing this a very long time, and this year, Spine Magazine said, you know, a dime on a nerve root causes 60% less information traveling down that nerve root. A dime. So it doesn't take much malalignment, subluxation, whatever you want to call it, malalignment to cause loss of function or loss of information wherever that nerve root goes. And remember, you don't always have to have a symptom to have the problem. We know that from viruses brewing, cancer, heart disease, any host of high blood pressure, any host of other issues that present with no symptoms first. They just happen in our body. Which is why, Mr. Kahns, it's important that you come and get things checked, just to make sure there's not something going on that we don't know about. So anytime this structure changes, we change our ability to receive that information from our nervous system. Is that fair enough? Did I explain that?
And you know, as I hear you say that, so often we get back-ended by another car, you know, and at the time it's just like such a shock. And the first thing you say is, oh, I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm good. You know, it's like you don't even want to consider the fact that something might have happened, you know, and that's happened to me more than one time. You know, we just sort of live with it until, you know, we wake up and it's like, I'm in pain. Something is off.
Something's not quite right. Well, I'm going to give you a Pam Putnam pearl of wisdom here. If there's damage to the car, there's damage to the spine. Wow. And that's a rule of thumb.
Wow. It makes sense. It just makes sense.
Yes. And just because you feel okay at the scene does not mean that you're going to be okay in 5 weeks or 5 months or 5 years. Right. So many times people come in with, you know, I'm dizzy. It came out of nowhere. Well, no, it didn't come out of nowhere. Let's trace it back and let's figure it out. And then you look at their neck on x-ray and you go, wow, this whiplash here looks like about 5 years old. You didn't tell me, Ms. Jones, about this whiplash on this paper. What's going on? Oh, I did have a wreck 5 years ago. So if you are in a fender bender or somebody T-bones you and there's not much damage, or y'all exchange names and call it a day, it's not going to hurt anything to go get checked.
Right.
In fact, it's kind of very prudent just to go make sure that everything is where it should be, just so that you don't wake up in 5 months with migraines, or you don't start the degenerative process in your neck unbeknownst. So it's just a good idea.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what else do you have questions about?
Tell us a little bit more about who you are.
Who I am. Oh dear. Okay. 5'10", been long and lean my whole life. Worked out my whole life doing one thing or another in physical fitness. My sport of choice is ballet, but I play golf terribly now. I used to be decent. I love to play tennis, and I'm learning pickleball. And I'm terrible at that too, but I sure have a good time. I have a dog, Charlie, that I adopted, and I love kids. I volunteer in the 2-year-old ministry every Sunday at church. And I'm now doing a coat drive because one of my benevolent focuses is on making sure everybody who needs a coat has a coat. It was one Saturday many years ago that we were giving out coats at the Norcross Cooperative left and right. It was a nasty rainy day, a lot like it was today and yesterday. And I was heading up the closet portion, not the grocery portion. And I'd been giving out coats left and right. People were trading in slips of 25 items for one coat. And we were out. So I took the elevator down to the intake department, which always had more things that had not been brought up. And there were no coats. And this woman and her little peanut came in, her little boy came in, and I didn't have anything to give them. And once you see that, you can't unsee that. And again, I felt nudged to say, okay, now what are you going to do? Now, what are you going to do about that? You know, so I think since then, I've been doing a coat drive every year at this time. I want to make sure people have something to put on to go out and, you know, be warm.
What's the best way for people to get coats to you? How can they connect with you?
Bring them to Progressive Medical Center. I have a humongous box in my department. I've got another week before I have to turn them in. Actually, a week from today, I'm going to take them to North Fulton Community Charities. And if I have a lot, I'm going to split them up and take the other half to Norcross Cooperative.
Can you give people an address where they can bring to?
Yes, 4646 North Shallowford Road in Dunwoody, Georgia. Progressive Medical Center, big white building. My department is in the smack middle of the building next to our NutriCare, our vitamin store. You go in and you tell whoever, everybody knows I'm collecting coats. Just say, I've got these for Dr. Pam, and where do I go? Or can I give them? Brooke will take them up front. Whoever meets you at the door can take them. I'd love that. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
New or old, young or old, boy or girl, man or woman, just try not to give it ripped, you know, if you're going to resupply a coat.
Right. Make them nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Something you would be proud to have on somebody else.
Well, thank you for doing that. And I will encourage people to bring coats.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks.
That should be
nobody should be without a coat. I mean, it's just crazy. We're all so blessed, myself included. And I declared that day a long time ago, if I'd worn a coat that day, I would have given her the one I had on. So that's life changing. Those little moments are. So that's kind of who I am, Mr. Kynes. Does that answer what you want me to answer?
Well, you know, it's just open ended.
Okay.
For a particular answer. Just glad to have an opportunity to get to know you more. So as it relates back to your practice, which we also can add some ministry of caring. In addition to the coat ministry that you have developed, what are the moments in the practice that you find fulfilling when you're helping those of us who come in, and what's rewarding for you? Not that you support, but it happens, and what have you noticed?
Well, wow, another 75 questions in one sentence. Okay, so every day I am amazed at how magnificently and wonderfully we're made. And I had a very wise man tell me a long time ago that if you listen well enough, the patient will give you their diagnosis. And I've kind of prided myself on being a good listener, because I think patients will tell you things, maybe not with their words, but with their bodies. You just got to ask the right questions, and you've got to ask the questions until you get the root cause of the problem. And one of the things I love about what we do at my clinic, or what my technique does, the activator technique also comes with an investigative portion of it. So when you're laying face down on the adjusting table, I have my clicker, my activator, and I am already scanning you visually to see what doesn't look like it's supposed to be. if your pelvis is rotated, if you have spasms on your back, if your scapula is not tracking, if your head's not moving quite like it should be from left to right. I'm already watching you when you come into the clinic, when you walk in. And that's a strength and a weakness. I do that at the mall, at the airport, in my neighborhood. It's awful, actually. But it's like, it's me. It's what I do. So I determine, I can tell what sport you played in high school. I can tell if you've had a knee injury. It's awful. It's so funny.
Can you tell, because I was there with you this morning. What sport? I don't know if I've ever talked to you about what sports I did when I was younger.
I think you probably played a running sport, and my bet would be on basketball.
No, I was a runner. I ran track.
Yeah, you did something running. Yeah.
Yep, I did something running. It wasn't basketball, but I was a runner and a cheerleader. I think.
Okay, now I can see that.
Both of them did harm. I know both of them did. I mean, I loved it. It was fun at the time, but I'm sort of paying for some of that now.
People don't. I mean, cheerleading is a tough sport, and it has evolved in the last 40 years to something, a whole different arena. It is now a gymnastic type sport instead of just cheering and go team kind of thing like it was back in the 80s and 90s. So that has really changed.
Well, I was cheerleading in the 70s, but I still did all kind of things. I had like the best Russian jump. You jump up and your feet touch your hands. And, the cartwheels. In fact, I did a cartwheel. I was captain of the junior varsity cheerleading squad, and we had tryouts for the senior squad, which I knew I was going to be on because I was captain of the. So who didn't like properly warm up and practice and prepare? And I did a cartwheel into a split that was perfect. And as I was laying there, like this, the tears started coming down. I was like, oh shit, I'm in trouble.
I'm in trouble.
They took me right to the emergency room, and my biggest concern when I was there, when the vice principal, who's also a neighbor, was there, I was like, did I make the team? Of course you made the team, but I'm still paying for that injury because I hadn't warmed up properly. So that's that's another whole area of injuries. I guess you've seen the sports injuries.
Every sport has its wow, I almost said predictable injuries, and I don't mean that to be like I don't listen or I'm not looking for how you're injured, but I mean, if you're running, there's certain, a hip pointer, there's anterior compartment syndromes, there's the usual and customary injuries that go along with whatever sport it is that you do. And part of my credentials are, I'm also a certified chiropractic sports practitioner, which most people don't understand, that you can go to school, pass chiropractic school, and be a radiologist, a sports doctor, gerontologist for older people, neurologist, and neurological chiropractor. There's lots of advanced degrees, and I chose sports because it was just fun. It seemed really fun to me. So having that emphasis has always been on figure out exactly what the problem is. I think that's what most chiropractors can do easily, but you've got to get them well so that they can go back to the gym or their tennis or football, or how do I get you back into your game very quickly and seamlessly. So one of the mottos that I've held as my practice mantra for as long as I can remember is be well, be strong, and be kind. And I try, you guys tell me since you're patients, when you come into my clinic, my department, we try to start changing the way you look at your illness or injury with your mind before we start the physiological changes. And you've got to have a mindset of hope, of to be well inside and outside, to not only have the structural stuff. That's easy. I can do that all day. The mindset stuff, I got to figure out where you are and how we can shift that into, we don't need to talk about how many injuries you've had now that I've figured out what that is. Now we're going to talk about your recovery. We're not going to speak of these negative past behaviors anymore. And Bernard, your counseling, tell me that that's in keeping with what you do.
Absolutely. Yeah. The idea is to provide hope, inspiration, and
Yes.
so there's an internal transformation that's manifest on the outside in our day-to-day living, and that's an ongoing process. And we have to remain vigilant in that process of care. That's why Imani and I wanted to create our show, because we together are co-creators and interest in what the Creator has through us to offer to others, and being conscious about caring for the whole of themselves, mind, bodies, and spirit,
Yeah.
And so, yes, I would concur with exactly what you're saying.
Good. So that's the be well part. The be strong part is we need to figure out, other than structural issues, if you've got malalignments in between your shoulders and the top of your pelvis, we know that those nerve pathways go to your gut. And if you're not digesting your food well, or if you're constantly feeding it food that it can't process in your body or this other person's body, and I process it just fine. If you are constantly inflaming your gut, I'm going to only get so far with your health and wellness recovery, because you're feeding it crap to your body. It's something that your body can't deal with. So we need to get that straightened out too. So that's the be well, be strong inside and out. And as we get you stronger, better, more in alignment, those nerve pathways are going to muscles. I'm going to get you back at the gym. I want to get you back moving. I want to get you back strong, literally, with your muscles and your body and your structure. But I want you strong mentally. I want you to be ready to not only just be hopeful, but slay the day. I want you to be strong and go, yeah, world, I'm ready, kind of thing.
So, Dr. Pam, tell our audience some of the cutting edge equipment that you have in your center. The Beamer, for example.
Right.
That's just one, but name some of the things that,
You have to come see my clinic. You have to come visit. I will take you on a nickel tour, no charge. I am in a mecca for anti-inflammation and healing, and I don't know how many square feet I have, but it's a huge place. It could be a restaurant. It's so big, but I have equipment that will anti-inflame, detoxify, distract, cryotherapy. We have a cryotherapy chamber that is 3 minutes of cold nitrogen gas from here down. And in that 3 minutes.
So Dr. Pam, tell them how cold. How cold does it?
It's really cold.
Very cold.
It's 180 degrees below.
Yeah.
But you got on stuff. We have all the stuff that you put on when you get into the chamber.
That's one of my favorite.
You should be looking at my face. It's like, I've done it. Not in this center, but I've done it.
I'm going to tell you, there's days when I have worked out really, really hard. And every time I move to show somebody a stretch, I'm like going, oh my gosh, I got to get in cryo. And that anti-inflames you in 3 minutes. It burns 700 to 850 calories in that 3 minutes as a bonus. And you are, you have the most amazing sleep on the day that you do cryotherapy. And that's not even in the paperwork on the internet. That's just kind of a side bonus. You sleep like a baby that night. But what it does is it'll totally anti-inflame you. People who box or who swim, Bernard, or who do full body exercising and create a lot of lactic acid, that's inflammatory to your system. And we need to anti-inflame and get the anti-inflammatory markers higher than the inflammatory markers to bring your body down so that you can receive the adjustment, the other anti-inflammatory care, the palliative therapies that we have. We have many therapies. We have about 8 tables in my department, 3 of which have a biomat on it, which is a mat that is filled with amethyst crystals that when those are heated become magnetized. You lay on it and it is a heated mat. It feels like a full body heating pad. It is wonderful. So what it does, yeah, it's awesome.
One of my favorites.
Yes, it's everybody's favorite. We have employees that come in for lunch hour and, kind of cuddle up and go, just knock me off if you have a patient. Yeah, okay, I'm going to do that. So they get on the biomat and they have those toxins pulled out of the cells. But the toxins are deposited into the tissues. So it's going to be your job. And we remind you that you need to flush those toxins out through the urine. So you're going to have to drink lots of water on days you come in to see me. Let's see, biomat. Then we have PEMF. Not PEP, it's PEMF, PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic force. And it's another machine that when I put the tubing of the PEMF machine to a low back, if you have low back issues, a shoulder, if it's shoulder pain, it anti-inflames, it detoxifies, it increases circulation, it increases lymph. And for 8 minutes, we use it as part of our protocol before doing any sort of pain injection or regenerative type technique that we use at the clinic. We can get you on the PEMF and get you on your way very quickly to getting recovery. I'm talking about car accidents or knee injuries or skiing injuries, people who've had knee surgery. We can put them on a PEMF for 8 minutes, 3 times a week and get that knee back moving even post-surgery very quickly. We have infrared sauna, which detoxifies, it purifies the skin. We breathe in free radicals and all kinds of toxins, not just from the air that we breathe, but let's say you've been on an airplane and you want to get all that airplane air out of your system and out of your liver and out of your sinuses. You can get an infrared sauna. There's ozone things we can do to your sinuses. And I would absolutely encourage cryotherapy to get you back in this time zone and get you healed and detoxified pretty quickly. We have vibration therapy, which increases strength and flexibility. We have had a young gentleman that's lost 20 pounds in there. He's autistic. He's one of our employees' sons, and he likes coming in to hang with me some days, and he'll get on the vibration therapy for 2 hours at a time. It makes him happy. And when he's happy, I'm happy. And he's lost 21 pounds. Go figure. He didn't really need to, but that promotes lymphatic drainage, and it'll give you that inner vitality. The Beamer isn't an acronym for something that I just went blank, but it is a full body magnetic mat. But it's one of the only types of therapy in my department where you don't feel anything. It's not a clicking or popping. It's not an electrical stimulus. It's not a magnetic force. You just sit there in the Beamer chair and I can tilt you back and you can have an 8-minute nap. But that magnet also will detoxify and it'll purify your system and gets these cells to where they're moving and grooving like they're supposed to, receiving vitamins and energy and exiting the toxins in the muscle waste. Mm-hmm. So we have the Beamer that we can use for quick recovery. We have Matrix, which I love, which is We can use suction cups or electrical stimulus pads, but the matrix kind of looks like a TENS unit on the outside, but it is not TENS. It goes all the way down to the cellular level. And I have 72 programs on, I have 2 matrix machines. I feel like a queen that I can, yeah, I'm in a mecca for healing, I declare. But the matrix, I can put you on a program if you have cancer, if you have Parkinson's, if you have interstitial cystitis, like a recurring bladder inflammation, prostatitis, inflammation in a hand after a car accident, or like where you've gripped the steering wheel and had some injuries there, or for football players, if they, if they are receiving, they will run in one direction, but their upper body has to turn to catch the ball. That twisting motion that happens in the low back or on the hips, that's a matrix move. I can shingles, all these different things that you think would not be chiropractically connected. It's all connected because we go back to the nervous system providing all of our function. So if you're not functioning properly by illness, injury, or whatever, then I can trace it back to a level of bones being out of alignment, pressing on nerves. And then we have whatever you need to unwind all of it. I have spinal decompression. I do x-rays in my department. I read them right there. I give you a report of findings right there. Typically, there's no extra charge for that. And in other offices, there's usually a kind of a heavy charge to send it out to a radiologist. We don't need to send ours out. I've been reading film since I was 100 years older, younger, since I was at Grady. We had to learn how to read films at Grady. So,
remind me to tell you about my
hyperbaric chamber. Did you mention? I'm sorry.
Oh, the hyperbaric.
I love I haven't used yours, but I've been in other hyperbaric chambers. I love that.
It's awesome. It's great for quick healing and promoting microcirculation. If you have cancer or injury, like car accidents or surgery, where you want to heal from the surgery, or brain tumors, or any kind of, one lady had prolozone injections into her low back and both knees today. Well, I put her right into hyperbaric. That's going to help anti-inflame her very quickly. She took a 45-minute nap, and she comes out of there. She goes, my God, I just took a nap. I got a pain injection. My knees are working, and you gave me an adjustment, and I feel fantastic. And I said, I know, right? This is an amazing place.
Yeah, we have about a minute and so left, but I want to say thank you, because what you are sharing with the audience is true. I've been going to Progress since 2015, and it's one of the only places, probably the only place I go now, and now it's just for maintenance. But when I arrived, I was in a mess. I had yeast in my gut. I was overweight. I had mercury fillings in my mouth, and Dr. Bouquet told me I had to get those out, change my diet, to clean my gut out. Alon, who is no longer there, that I love dearly, I did colonics on a regular. It has been a miracle place for me. It took me off all medications that I was taking, to put me onto the supplements that I'm still taking for some things. But it's a tremendous place, and I am promoting it for a non-traditional type of care. So this is early on, before we stop. This is the phone version of
Yeah, okay.
scan. And so the phone version is what I have that I carry around or use for various elements as well. So, Dr. Pam, in the half a minute, share with words of wisdom that you want the listening audience to take away with them as they think about their health.
Just 3 things: be well, be strong, and be kind. And that last component is be intentional. Wake up every day grateful. Wake up every day that you have a gift of that day given to you, and not to take that lightly. And plan sometime early in the day to be kind intentionally to someone else without having to tell somebody about it. Those intentional kindnesses raise your anti-inflammation markers inside your physiology, inside your body. The more we are intentionally kind, the more we increase our serotonin oxytocin levels.
Wow.
And then you give me less to work with, right? So I love that. So be well, be strong, and be kind on purpose.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pam.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And I'm glad that I started coming to Progressive.
And hang around after we go off the air before you hang up, Dr.
Okay. Okay.
Light debriefing. So thank you
for having me.
You're so welcome. Thank you to our audience for showing up. Please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube page, because that's where the numbers really count. But we know we have people on Facebook and on LinkedIn. We appreciate you all. And please share the information about Progressively Yours. We're enjoying doing the show, and we're getting more and more listeners and participants all the time. So thank you. All right. Have a good evening.